Joe Biden is taking a decidedly pro-China approach to his 2020 presidential bid. It's a political play that is dangerous for him and rhetoric that certainly could be dangerous for our country. He doubled down on his pro-China rhetoric today, going a little more general in his reference there to Asia. Watch.
Our workers are literally 3 times as productive as workers in the Far East. I mean, in Asia. And they're 3 times as productive. And so what are we worried about?
What are we worried about? Well, keep in mind it comes on the heels of his recent comments made in Iowa. Watch.
China is going to eat our lunch? Come on, man. They can't even figure out how to deal with the fact that they have this great division between the China Sea and the mountains in the east, in the west. They can't figure out how they're going to deal with the corruption that exists within the system. They're not bad folks, but guess what? They're not competition for us.
All right. To make statements like that one and the one you just heard in New Hampshire, Berlin, New Hampshire, it's clear that Joe Biden is either massively naive or deliberately trying to be provocative, trying to set himself apart. I get a bit of advice from Mr. Biden. You know, that kind of talk isn't going to fly in Berlin, New Hampshire, where he was today. I grew up in the live free or die state. And Berlin is a former manufacturing town, logging, paper mills, that is now a shadow of its former self, thanks in part to too many presidents and too many administrations that thought, well, a little like Joe Biden. So while Biden's out there trying to infer that China isn't a threat, China's working on its Made in China 2025 push, its attempt at controlling the robotics, the aerospace, and the technology industries. It's violating the human rights of its Muslim population by putting Muslims in concentration camps. And it's adopting an Orwellian-like surveillance system to spy on and to rank the social standing of its citizens. It fails to respect intellectual property rights, and it has lost repeated cases at the WTO for this, and forces American tech companies to just hand over their technology when attempting to access China's markets. In addition, China has not one, but 2 world banks, all of its own. The banks employ hugely aggressive lending practices to poor countries all across the globe in a kind of a loan shark style, really causing these nations to become indebted to China. So while China tries to explain that it's still deserving of a developing nation status and can borrow money from the World Bank, I would just ask, would the World Bank still be lending to Paraguay if it had a couple of world banks in its back pocket? To add insult to injury, Joe Biden actually is choosing to ignore the China threat today, June 4th. Today, which is the 30-year anniversary of one of the most tragic events in modern history, Tiananmen Square. On June 4th, 1989, hundreds of thousands of students and workers in China took to the streets in a quest for freedom, a quest for democracy, and their own government killed them. The exact number, we don't know. We may never know, because China won't reveal that. But the estimates are between hundreds and several thousands. As far as China is concerned, this day never happened. And when our Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, addressed it in a tweet, the response was swift today, with the Chinese ambassador saying Pompeo's statement, quote, grossly intervenes in China's internal affairs, attacks its system, and smears its domestic and foreign policies. Because the U.S. wants the world to remember history, even if you don't? If a country like China truly wants to grow and grow up, shouldn't it be willing to admit its mistakes? Shouldn't it apologize to the families that lost loved ones? And it's unclear how it is that we can have a normalized relationship with China, ever, if China won't at least acknowledge its past. They can move on, but just admit what happened. As for Biden speaking in New Hampshire today, effectively trying to say China's no big deal. He's wrong. It is. The memory of Tiananmen Square is still fresh in my mind. I was sitting alongside my mother, watching TV in a small town not far from where Joe Biden is in New Hampshire today, watching the live television news coverage of that horrific scene, watching those courageous young people lose their lives in their quest for freedom. China may want to rewrite history, but the courage of those brave people will never be forgotten, not by the world and not by me. Joining me right now, former Deputy National Security Advisor under President Trump, KT McFarland. It's good to have you here.
Pleasure.
I mean it. I remember sitting there with my mom, who interestingly was a Chinese history major. Mm-hmm. And she was explaining to me a lot of the history of the country, the challenges that they were facing, and this tremendous uprising of all of these students there, and what it meant. And just, we were watching, and the horror of the situation is something that has stuck with me to this day. And in many ways, I think KT helped provide me with a sense of what we as journalists can do, what the power of live television really is, because when you had those images sent back to the rest of the world, China could choose to ignore it all it wanted. China can still continue to try and ignore it, but the rest of the world knows. Does China need to at some point say, okay, this was a really horrible thing. It happened, and we're going to grow, and we're going to learn from our mistakes. If they're going to really join the international community, should they be willing to do that?
Sure, but they're not willing to join the international community on the terms that you're talking about. I mean, China has, for the last 20 years, exploited our generosity and the attitude, and particularly somebody like Joe Biden, which is what makes me so mad. 20 years ago, we said to ourselves, all right, we're going to help them develop, even at our own expense, at the expense of our own American industries, because we think when they modernize, they'll have an open society, and they'll be very different than the China that you've just seen in those tanks. The opposite has happened. It has gotten more repressive. China now is the first total surveillance state. There's something called social points. If you speak out against the government, you get negative points. You're not allowed to get on the subway. You're not allowed to travel. You're not allowed to have a job. You're not allowed to live in an apartment. They are so concerned with absolutely crushing any dissent that they have more than 1 million Uyghurs, the Chinese Muslims, in the equivalent of concentration camps to be re-educated.
Wow. So, you know, when we talk about trade talks and we want to engage in business with China, realistically, I mean, given the human rights violations, given the surveillance-style state, given the theft of intellectual property, where does this go? I mean, it's striking me, the way you're describing it, as we don't really have a path towards any kind of meaningful trade relationship if there's such a stark difference fundamentally in the cultures.
There is, but you know, China's not going to change. They have 5,000 years of history. We're not going to change. We have two very different models of how we govern ourselves and how we see the world. That doesn't mean that we have to go to war. It doesn't mean that we can't trade. But it's time to recalibrate that relationship. Yeah. Because we can't go on the way it is. And for somebody like Joe Biden to say, no big deal.
Well, like I said, it's like super naivete.
Yeah, it's foreign policy malpractice.
Or, okay, malpractice.
Because the Chinese have said that they have every intention by mid-century to be larger economy than the United States and to rewrite the rules of international order to favor their development modle.
Well, right now they're taking a lot of our stuff.
Absolutely.
And interestingly, I mean, you know, I had a very civil, very nice interview with Lu Xin, who is a woman who works for a China news organization, and we talked about that, this intellectual property theft, and she came right out and said it. Let's watch, KT.
I do not deny that there are IP infringement, there are copyright issues, or there are piracy, or even theft of commercial secrets. I think that is something that has to be dealt with.
What if we said, hey, you know, sure, Huawei, come on in, but here's the deal. You must share all those incredible technological advances that you've been working on. You got to share it with us. Would that be okay?
If you pay for the use of this IP, of this high technology, I think it's absolutely fine. Why not?
You mentioned something pretty important, which is that you should pay for the acquisition. And that really, I think, fundamentally is the problem here, right? I mean, we can all agree, you shouldn't steal other people's stuff, and yet it's still happening. I mean, if you're going to use other people's technology, there's a copyright on that stuff. There's there's an intellectual property right and ownership to that they don't really quite seem to understand or get. I mean, she did well, except that she sort of did there, which I think was a big
great
concession.
Interview, by the way. It was a fascinating interview.
Thank you, and my thanks to her, by the way, because that's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to come on American TV and to come on Fox and on with me, but she did do it and was forthcoming in some ways. I mean, specifically, I thought when it came to intellectual property.
I was really surprised that she was willing to admit that, because that's what the Chinese refuse to admit, that they're taking our technology. The Chinese ambassador says how absurd, we're not taking your technology. But the fact is that they are. And it's not just an economic relationship. It's now become a military situation where the Chinese have claimed the South China Sea, the world's largest commercial maritime trading route, as an internal Chinese lake. Within 10 years, they're going to decide whether we can sail through it with our goods and services or not. And that's Chinese expansionism.
Well, look, a lot of people may not like it. They may not like that we have so many ships over there in the South China Sea, but in some ways, it's all interwoven. An average American's 30-year mortgage, right? And a low interest rate is actually somewhat dependent on the ability of us to have that influence around the world, to keep the dollar as the world's currency.
Well, yeah, for sure.
And to be the hegemonic economic power.
Well, and to be a Pacific power. China doesn't want us to be a Pacific power. Their plan is that within 10 years, we're pushed back to Hawaii, so we're out of the Western Pacific, and then within 20 or 30 years, we're out of the Pacific.
Well, we got to start strategizing. At least somebody finally is. Thank you so much.
Maybe not with Joe Biden. No.
Yeah, I hear you. Katie McFarland, good to see you. Thank you so much.